Tonight's headlines are brought to you by McDonald's and Mariana's Coffee.
Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I'm Sakurako Halstead.
And I'm Dan Shore. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories.
80 years ago today, and 9 days after the bombing of Hiroshima, World War II ended.
Also tonight, an accident on Middle Road sends a woman to the hospital.
And the school budget is dependent on percentages, and those percentages are being debated.
In sports, the CNMI welcomes back the women's national football team that made history in Uzbekistan.
Stay with us. These stories and more are next.
Welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order?
Yeah. What's a snack wrap?
Boom. Back when we wore velour from the top of the head to the tip of the toe, the snack wrap was no joke. Takes me back. What you know about that juicy chicken? That shredded cheese. Come close. Ranch. I did everything to bring it back, nephew. Talk to me.
Educate. Get him.
Okay, yeah, say less, Aunt. Let me do the snack wrap.
Yeah, let him do the snack wrap.
Can I get both, please?
Double him up.
Hey bro, happy Labor Day.
Boys, we're out of beer.
What's your keys, bro? You've been drinking.
Admit it, you only had one drink, but you're buzzed.
You're right, bro. Someone else should go.
Stay safe this Labor Day. If you are planning on drinking, make arrangements for a safe ride home. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the CNMI Department of Public Safety.
I love Mariana's coffee. Come join me for a cup. I think you would be really happy.
Hafide Tirawami and good evening, Commonwealth.
You're watching the Channel 2 News on August 15th from our studio high up on Capitol Hill.
A two-car accident on Middle Road today sends a woman to the hospital.
Just after lunchtime today, a two-car accident in the southbound lane on Middle Road on Saipan. This was the scene as emergency vehicles responded. While officers directed traffic, others began to assess the damage. The weather was sunny. Road condition was dry. Ambulance personnel responded and focused their attention here to the back of the vehicle, unloading stretchers. Airbags in the vehicles were deployed, and there appeared to be some injuries, hopefully minor. We do not yet know the extent of those injuries or the cause of the accident.
A surprise sentence is handed down and a former chief of parole is remanded into custody. On Thursday afternoon in Judge Teresa Kim Tenorio's courtroom, a full house of the defendant's family and friends await sentencing. In April, a jury convicted Nick Reyes and Shilian Fu of committing theft by deception and conspiracy to commit misconduct in public office for charging the government close to $10,000 in construction fees that were performed with free parolee labor. In July, the judge rejected the defense's appeal for a new trial, so yesterday in a tense courtroom, all were expecting the judge to relay her much-considered sentencing decision. But, in a surprise turn of events, Reyes' defense attorney Joaquin Torres and prosecutor David Karch present a motion to change their initial sentencing requests and ask the judge to accept a joint sentencing recommendation. After deliberation, the judge accepts prosecutor David Karch.
The agreement was for Mr. Reyes to serve 60 days in jail, with credit for the 15 days he spent in jail after the jury verdict.
He will also serve 5 years of probation, pay a $2,500 fine, and perform 200 hours of community service.
And he's prohibited from working for the CNMI government for 10 years. So we feel that that's a significant penalty to not be able to work for the government for 10 years, and it's very fitting considering the charges.
The defense, as part of the sentencing agreement, conceded the possibility of any further appeals in this case.
Everyone knows that would take an enormous amount of resources to go through the appeal process, and then if a new trial is ordered, to do this whole trial again. So it's of great value to us to be able to move on to other bigger things. And everyone's on notice, and there's a lot more coming.
Mr. Fu, through his attorney, claimed to know nothing about the agreement between the state and Mr. Reyes, and then requested time to consider the turn of events. Time was granted. Mr. Fu's sentencing will be on September 12.
I know it's easier to think about it in terms of winning or losing, but I try not to. I'm just doing my job. I'm trying to come up with a fair outcome in every case.
And this feels like a fair outcome?
Yes, I spent a lot of time looking through old cases. There haven't been a lot here, but there have been cases, convictions of misconduct in public office, and this is well in line with those cases. And a lot of those, there was no jail served for similar cases. They're all suspended sentence. So we're trying to create more deterrence. Obviously, it hasn't worked with the past cases. So this is a harsher sentence than has been done in the past, in fact.
August 15, 1945, Japan surrendered, bringing an end to World War II on Tinian, where the mission to Hiroshima began. The day is remembered with a mix of history and personal reflections. Our Chris Nelson has more.
Tinian was just a small island, but in 1945 it became the central stage for the final act of the war. The bombs that fell on Hiroshima and later Nagasaki were both loaded here at North Field. 80 years ago today, and just 8 days after the Hiroshima bomb, Japan surrendered. On Tinian, it marked the end of a wartime occupation and the start of a different chapter. For James Mendiola Jr., who grew up here, that history is never far away. Now, 8 decades later, the island remembers not just the role it played in ending the war, but the cost that came with it.
It's easy for a guy that lives in 2025 to say that it shouldn't have been done, right? I mean, that war just, it took so many lives, it broke so many families, and kind of, just decimated so much of the world, right? And I think, if I was thinking of it from my own perspective, obviously I don't feel that the bomb should have been dropped, right? Not on a civilian population.
Mendiola was the keynote speaker at the 80th anniversary. He shared the story of Sadako Sasaki, a young girl who survived the initial blast but developed cancer at the age of 12. She folded cranes, hoping to reach 1,000, believing it would grant her a wish for health.
The kids in Japan the school children are still making those cranes.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that as you prepared for this speech. Have you visited Hiroshima? Have you been there?
I have.
What was described for me the energy of that place for you?
Right. So when I worked in Japan, one summer I just donned a backpack and went down to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And honestly, being from Tinian, it felt like it was my duty to visit, and there were beautiful, like wonderfully made museums there, right, that convey, I think, an appropriate amount of emotion, right? And so if you can imagine, I was having my backpack, and it was hot Japanese summers, and this big kid just kind of rolling through, and you go into like a wonderful space where it's cool, and it's temperature-wise, it was cool, and you're just surrounded by these images and things, and you see Tinian in the museum, like at Hiroshima Museum, and there's a sense of a bit of pride there. You're like, oh, that's Tinian, but then you realize in what context is Tinian, shown. And then it really hits home, the temperature and the messages that are on the wall and the pictures. And it was just such a storm of emotion that I felt there.
Mendiola called his visit to Hiroshima a life-changing experience.
And you would think that, it would be all like somber and sorrow and all of that stuff. And there's definitely a lot of that there. But, when you're leaving, there's just messages of hope, and perhaps that there's a chance for humanity to come out of this with, some learning. And that's what kind of pushed me and propelled me forward, coming back home and making something happen.
3 members of the Enola Gay crew, including Captain Paul Tibbets, returned to Tinian in 2004 for the very first time since the war. All have since passed.
It welded, or whatever word you'd like to use, that group of men together to do one job. And that was to put a bomb on a target.
Tibbets and his crew believed the atomic bombings were the most effective way to force Japan's surrender, preventing further casualties from a prolonged war and a potential invasion. The decision to use nuclear weapons remains one of the most debated in history. In the years that followed, between 1946 and 1958, the United States conducted 67 nuclear tests in the Marshall Islands. By 1954, one test was already 1,000 times more powerful than Little Boy.
You can't really separate like work for peace from how you feel as an individual. And I think whether it's right or wrong, I kind of let some of those feelings leak into the speech, right? And it felt good actually to be able to share that, right? And my primary motivation for having the speech was to kind of encourage people, right? Like there's so many negative things happening right now, and maybe the world doesn't sound like it's peaceful or doesn't look like it's peaceful, but that you can't lose hope.
On Tinian, Chris Nelson for the Channel 2 News.
Peace. School starts next week, and today lawmakers had their calculators out on Capitol Hill. 25% of the CNMI budget is supposed to go to public schools, but new math can be tricky and subjective, and the difference between the gross and the net is millions of dollars. We'll take a look. Today in the House of Representatives, House Bill 24-16 to define and identify general revenues for 2026 essentially lowers the percentage rate of the public school system budget. Macy Tenorio, member of the Board of Education.
I am here to share information about the constitutional calculation of PSS's guaranteed funding and the bill's definition of general revenues.
According to the CNMI Constitution, the legislature is mandated to appropriate 25% of the CNMI's general revenue to the public school system.
Now to address House Bill 24-46. The current draft defines general revenues as a remainder after expenditures.
According to Ms. Tenorio, the House decision to calculate the PSS mandate as 25% of net instead of gross revenue results in the PSS receiving the equivalent of only 18% of the general revenue, translating into a $13 million budgetary shortfall. Lawrence Camacho, Commissioner of PSS.
I am asking that you prioritize and invest in our future, the Commonwealth's future, lie in the hands of our kids in those classroom spaces where they are learning and thriving.
In July 2025, Commissioner Camacho presented to the House a budget proposal of $49 million to cover costs of educating 9,000 students with 1,200 employees. According to the 2026 estimated revenues, the public school system will be allocated only $32 million. Chairman of the House and Ways Committee, John Paul Sablan.
We face serious responsibility of passing a budget that will keep our government running and meet the needs of our people. It's not an easy job, but it is one we must do with care and with the understanding that every decision we make affects the lives of our families, neighbors, and friends.
Coming up, Team King is gambling to rejuvenate IPI's presence in Garapan.
And a look back in time to Garapan's best sunshine casino.
Find a plan that goes with your flow. Get unlimited local talk, text, and data at the most affordable rate with Unlimited Flow Postpaid.
Heat stroke is one of the leading causes of non-crash, vehicle-related fatalities among children. Vehicle heat stroke occurs when a child is left in a hot vehicle, allowing for the child's temperature to rise in a quick and deadly manner. In today's fast-paced world and with our busy schedules, we often tell ourselves that we would never leave our child in the back seat of the car, yet it can still happen. Take action if you notice a child alone in a car. Protecting children is everyone's business. Even in cooler temperatures, your vehicle can heat up to dangerous temperatures very quickly. Keep your vehicle locked and keep your keys out of reach. Make it a habit to look before you lock and avoid putting children at risk of heat stroke. Help us prevent hot car deaths in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Stop, look, lock. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands Department of Public Safety.
Location, location, location. Office space on Capitol Hill available now at the Hermosa Vista Business Park. With natural light and ocean views, it's the perfect place for creative professionals. So upgrade your life and your working environment. Schedule an exclusive showing now. Call us at 670-483-4750 or email hvsaipan@gmail.com.
You know what they call you?
Me?
Yeah.
What?
They call you Mellow Yellow.
Okay.
They do. At Mariana's Beach Resort, come to the edge of the ocean and experience the best sunsets on Saipan at Skipper's Beach Bar. Open daily from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m., Skipper's is the perfect place to unwind with great friends, great weather, and stunning ocean views. And every hour is happy hour with $3.99 craft draft beer, local food specials, and live music. Bring a friend or make some new ones. Skipper's is where memories are made. Skipper's Beach Bar, the best sunsets, the best fun. Come join us tonight. See you at the beach.
When I think of you sometimes, want to spend some time with you, just the two of us.
Let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Let's go!
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Let's go! Let's go.
Welcome back. You're watching the Friday night edition of the Channel 2 News.
Tonight, the latest on the casino that sits closed in western Garapan. The towering unfinished structure in the middle of Garapan sits on public land. Imperial Pacific or IPI promised upwards of 2,000 rooms in exchange for an exclusive casino license. International chefs and executives were brought in for the initial build-up. A temporary casino that reported billions of dollars in chip play opened inside of duty-free shoppers. Luxurious yachts were brought in from the Mediterranean, fancy villas, and a local Chinese real estate boom. But the boom quickly went bust. Many hundreds of illegal workers who came into the NMI under temporary tourist visas were just one of the issues. Workers protested the conditions, payments slowed. FBI raids followed. Currently, IPI is in bankruptcy court and is now working on releasing their public land lease to an organization called Team King. Department of Public Lands Secretary Sixto Igisomar says the assignment is approved thus far.
So the assignment has been signed by everybody meaning myself, the Attorney General, Team King representative, and IPI rep. So now I think right now it's just a matter of them going back to court and working with the judge to see if the judge will finalize it or not.
Igisomar says Team King has paid a $2,500 assignment fee.
I think they're being very proactive and being very fair in trying to make sure that when they get back into this court hearing, their next schedule with the judge, that they'll be able to justify that they've taken care of matters with public land.
The Secretary says if approved by the courts, DPL's Real Estate Division and Compliance Division will step in for any pending matters.
We'll do our best to be a little bit more proactive than before. I'm not saying that we did not before, but just based on what transpired. We all saw Best Sunshine IPI go up and something occurred. And so I want to make sure that with this relationship with Team King, that it goes forward and everything else is as much as possible. I mean, the future is always unknown, but as much as possible, we'll do our part today and tomorrow as close as possible to what we are all envisioning to happen, so that if anything happens again, at least we'll take care of it a lot better.
Igisomar says currently all payments are in order and there are no outstanding balances. There are about 25 years left on the lease with an option to extend 15 more years. A court hearing is scheduled for August 21st.
That's today. But it was just 10 years ago when Best Sunshine first opened up casino gaming on Saipan. It happened inside of duty-free shoppers as Imperial Pacific geared up for construction across the street. Let's take a look back at the story we ran on the summer of 2015.
CEO of Best Sunshine Mark Brown says Best Sunshine increased the number of open tables on the first day of the soft opening, originally set at 6 tables. He says people were already lined up hours before Best Sunshine opened their doors on noon Sunday.
And we opened up 3 more tables, so we went to 9 tables on that day. The commission was with us from noon till 2 in the morning. We actually were supposed to close at 12 o'clock, but we kind of squeaked out another hour because there were so many people still in the casino. As Monday hit and Tuesday hit, it's what we expected, where during the day would be like it is right now. It's kind of daytime, people are on the beach enjoying outside and working and things like that, where the nighttime after dinner it picks up. So 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, even 10, 11, it gets later crowd, different type of crowd, a little louder, having more fun.
Brown says 35 local dealers tapped in on Sunday. Surveillance operators are already putting their training to work just in the first couple of days, according to the CEO.
A local surveillance operator that was trained to be in surveillance on day 2 actually caught a young lady that lives here on the island cheating on the game. So after the cards were out on the game, she kept slipping her bet onto the player's side to getting paid when she's not supposed to be getting paid. Honestly, the floor person did not catch it.
Brown says the security on the floor of the casino removed the player from the premises, took a picture of her, and told her not to come back again.
Never does surveillance catch something. It's usually somebody on the floor says, I think something just happened. We rewind the tapes, and then we catch the person. But the person to catch it on the camera, for me, that's a first.
The minimum bet at a table is $25, but Brown tells us there are also tables with minimum bets of $50, $100, and $200.
We've had a couple $1,000 bets on one hand so far, and So, but the norm is basically, gentleman right next to me right now, betting $1,000, $1,500 a hand. But all the other games, $25, $50 seems to be the norm.
The interior design of the property inside T Galleria by DFS costs about $5 million. Total cost, $40 million.
When we took over DFS, we thought we're just going to paint the columns, don't touch the ceilings. That lasted about 3 weeks. Our company looked at it and said, you know what, we want to prove to everyone that we're real, that we're first class, and that's what our staff is, our employees. Everyone keeps saying how professional, I still can't. I keep talking about the locals that we train to deal, and I said never in my career they started on day one. And I will say this, because some of the U.S. dealers that we brought in from off island, some of the locals are better than they are.
Brown reveals there is a possibility the majority shareholder of Best Sunshine's parent company, Imperial Pacific Ji Xiaobo, will be traveling to Saipan sometime this weekend. In a Macau Business Daily News article of May 2015, it was reported he held 80 million shares, or 93.95% of the company. His aunt Queely May previously owned the stock. Brown tells us the casino is expected to bring in VIPs starting next week. Brown showed us the VIP rooms as dealers were training on the proper procedures for the VIP dealing process. The adjoining restaurant has a limited menu at this time with noodles, dim sum, and vegetables, according to the CEO. More items are coming soon.
The bar, again, it's new to everyone, local service in there, and it's pretty, it's beautiful. Our prices were a little off whack on day one. I know a lot of locals came in, were laughing at our prices. We had some bottles of Macallan 25 for $5,000, which is ridiculous, Yeah, we got rid of that immediately. I didn't even know it was there. But we're just, again, it's a learning process for everyone. Like I said, the commission is with us from the minute we open to the minute we close.
Best Sunshine tells KSPN they have been partnering with Hard Rock Cafe upstairs above the casino. KSPN learned Hard Rock is trying to begin a 24-hour operation.
We talked about that from the start. We asked them to do that because we're also going to be partners on bands. We're going to put some nice bands up there. It's a beautiful, beautiful bar that needs to be open 24 hours. So even though we have a little bar here, just having a few cocktails, but that's a fun little spot that's right upstairs that I feel if it's open longer and we have some bands up there, business, letting some of the food and waitresses come down onto our floor, which is fine, we're fine with. We don't have that kind of food down here. So we're all in agreement. It's the more people, everyone's going to make more money.
The grand opening for the casino inside T Galleria is about a month away, we're told. Brown says the event will include a ribbon cutting, lion dances, and fireworks.
Gosh, it's interesting to see what happened 10 years ago.
And what's going to happen next.
Yes, we shall see. This week, ancient artifacts were returned to the CNMI from the Bishop Museum in Honolulu. We hear from CNMI residents in presence of the homecoming. In the 1920s, United States Marine Hans Hornbostel was hired by the Bernice Pauahi Bishop Museum in Honolulu to collect artifacts and other objects from the Mariana Islands. After over 100 years, the artifacts are being returned in phases. These CNMI residents witnessed the homecoming of the ancient artifacts.
It actually means a lot. Our young generations will be able to learn from the past, and we actually can continue it to the future with our young generations growing up, learning about the old artifacts from our old times, our guelas and guelus.
Our history is our heritage, and the college, we take great pride in the fact that we are home to the CNMI archives, and we're the home to the rich legacy that is our islands. And so to have these important aspects, artifacts of our history returned to us, it's just, I am so happy. This is a good day for the Marianas. This is a good day for the indigenous Chamorro and Carolinian people. This is a good day.
This is just the phase one of bringing our artifacts back home for Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. It is important for our artifacts to come back home. One, it is where it belongs, and two, it ended up somewhere else, and we have a museum that can house them. And I see that it's fitting that it comes home because we do have a place for them to be at.
This is one of our way for us to promote and perpetuate, and also to honor all of our people that have passed And when we see these artifacts, it gives us a sense of connection with our past to our present.
It really tells a lot about our history, where we've been, our ancestors have been, and how good we are with respecting our culture. So even 105 years later, we're still here today, paying our respects to our ancestors and where they've been.
Coming up in sports, while tourism may be slumping in the CNMI, sports tourism is not doing too bad. Minton.
Next, stay with us.
Welcome to Marianas Beach Resort, and now welcome to Marianas Coffee. Indulge in the rich, smooth taste of classic coffee, or treat yourself to one of our signature creations with the best coffee roasted right here in Saipan. Craving something fun? Try our cracking marshmallow milkshake, or one of our refreshing milk teas. Stay cool with locally grown lemongrass lemonade, the perfect tropical twist. Pair your drink with our delicious cakes, desserts, sandwiches, and salads freshly made just for you. And with super fast Wi-Fi, it's the perfect place to work or unwind. Marianas Coffee at Marianas Beach Resort, where great coffee meets great style.
Buenas sports fans.
Buenas sports fans! Soccer or football? It's up for debate. What isn't up for debate is that our NMI women's team is back with a historic win for the Marianas. This morning, an appreciation celebration was held for the NMI U20 women's national team that just arrived back from Uzbekistan on Wednesday. The team made history for the Marianas by winning against Bahrain 3-0 in the Association Football Club AFC U20 Women's Asian Cup qualifier. NMI Football Association General Secretary Ross Zapanta.
For a long time, our national team, the women, have been experiencing only agony. Defeat in this AFC tournament. But for the first time, we finally broke the ceiling and have our first international win in AFC.
Although NMI has won against other countries in tournaments prior, the level of play at AFC is significantly higher. Jerry Tan shares that it took 13 years for this historic win.
Coming from a small place called NMI, smallest, newest, youngest, and trying to beat somebody who may not be, they may be on the same level, but they've been around for 80 years.
As a parent An athlete, and having pride in being from the NMI, Congresswoman Kimberlyn King-Hines commends the women for their win.
And you can only get better as a player if you experience competition at a higher level. It's only going to make you better. And taking into context what he's shared in terms of the progress that this association has made over the years. 3-0, come on, ladies, hell yeah!
Congratulations! More on the NMI U20 team next week. In our next story, world-class players are shaping the future of badminton and received the NMI class treatment. 2 back-to-back tournaments, both sanctioned by the Badminton World Federation, are held on Saipan at Ada Gym. While the Crown Plaza Northern Marianas Open was held from August 5th to the 10th, the Century Insurance Saipan International is being held from August 12th to the 16th. Communications Officer for Badminton Oceania, Crystal Clark, says the difference between the first tournament from the second is the point system.
Essentially, instead of the normal first to 21 points, it's going to be a new format of first to 15, 3 sets, which is supposed to make the game more exciting. It's supposed to, bring more passion, action, all of that sort of stuff.
The players, officials, and coaches from the Century Insurance Tournament will all be able to give feedback on the 15-point system.
They are going to have a meeting about it with the BWF to decide whether this is going to be what the future of the sport is going to look like, whether this is going to be what the scoring system is going to look like from now on. And that can really change the overall flow of the sport, the overall tactics that are involved in gameplay. So it is a huge deal that the players both from the Northern Marianas and from the rest of the world that have come here are going to be able to help shape that future.
The communications officer shares how these competitions have broadened sports tourism for the CNMI, with 129 players from 16 countries in the first competition and 111 players from 15 countries in the second.
This is one of the only tournaments in the world where you'll get 2 international challenge tournaments back to back. So in the downtime between that, a lot of the players will go out and explore the island. They'll rent a car and drive around and try to immerse themselves in the culture, in the community, in the economy as well here. Not many tournaments will allow that opportunity for players to get an experience traveling around and seeing what life is like here rather than just playing badminton.
She adds that the NMI is notoriously known for being a great host. The Northern Marianas Badminton Association's host organizing committee put together a bus tour and dinner show for their players.
Just seeing the looks on the players' faces, none of them had really seen anything like that before. And so there was just a lot of wow from everyone, because that is not the norm for badminton tournaments, for any kind of sporting tournaments, to be able to see that sort of stuff when you're there on business.
Clark shares her experience from a personal point of view and the perspective of Badminton Oceania.
We have been coming here every year since 2022, and we've seen a huge growth in the sport, but we also love coming back here because of how welcoming everyone is. We feel that every time we step off the plane, and we want our players to be able to feel that as well. And so I just think that there is nowhere in the world to hold a badminton tournament like the Northern Marianas, like Saipan, and it's really such an amazing opportunity that none of these other players will get anywhere else in the world.
The finals will be held tomorrow at 2 p.m. at a gym.
Hey, golfers, come north and practice your game at the Marianas Driving Range. New Year's local specials. 10-piece coupon books available for just $60. That's a $10 savings. Want to get really good? Come work on your swing every day for just $99 per month. It's our practice pass and you're going to love it. Grab your passes and go straight to the range. You can social distance and chip all at the same time, and the views are free. Reserve now at marianastrekking.com. You can pay online, open 7 days a week.
Here's the weather. Tonight, partly cloudy with only a 20% chance of isolated showers and a 90% chance of a glorious sunset. Low temperature of around 78 degrees. The weekend should remain lovely, CNMI, with only a 20% chance of isolated wetness, slight breezes with temperatures cooling from 88 to 78 degrees in the evening. The sun will set at 6:43 p.m. tonight and will rise again tomorrow morning at 6:08 a.m., welcoming a new day to ponder the energy of the sun and how that energy, when harnessed for good, can certainly heal rather than harm the world. And I will see you in the water or on the land.
Well, that's news, sports, and weather. Thank you for joining us, CNMI.
Have a great weekend. We will see you again on Monday. Pew, pew.